I saw this outrageously funny meme that said, it just had the picture of a guy going like this, and then it said, me remembering that dumb thing that I did 20 years ago. And the thing that I believe resonates with everybody is we will recall a moment where we did something wild and was truly embarrassing, truly humiliating, and we almost relive it when we see it again. And in this video, we're gonna help you work out of that, or at least understand what that is, because really what we're getting at is you cannot expect forgiveness unless you've forgiven yourself. You cannot expect any kind of forgiveness in this world if it is hinged to somebody else forgiving you. So, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but the first thing I want to point out is, we've talked about this in other videos, and the idea is you think about that thing more than anybody else does. Somebody may have thought about the time that you really, like, you slipped, or you said something really messed up, or you really offended somebody, but more than likely, if you have empathy, you think about it a lot. You think about it all the time, or you think about it sometimes. But the point being is that you hold the memory. It isn't as important to other people as you believe it is. And we come back to that idea of you will be a prisoner to other people, unbeknownst to them, if you care about what they think all the time. And if you care about them forgiving you for something, you are going to be a prisoner to that moment, or that thing that you did, or the feeling that you hold from the memory of the thing you did. And notice how I said the feeling that you hold from the memory, not the feeling that you had when it happened, but the feeling that you get when you remember it. There is this thing that happens, we lock things in by memory. We lock things in by the feeling of the memory, not the feeling when it actually happened. We can remember the feeling, but in reality, what's happening is we're just reacting to the memory, not the actual thing happening. We're reacting to the memory. So in a sense, Dr. Lipton, thank you so much. We are reliving our life before we ever get to live our life in the present day. So before I get away from myself, again, you reliving that moment of humiliation, I'll give you one that I relive sometimes, and we'll put this into context. I went up to write something on the board in 7th grade, I believe. I know this was 7th grade because it was in the middle school. It was 6, 7, 8. And there were kids that were definitely older than me, kids that were definitely younger than me. So it was definitely in 7th grade. And I went up to the board. This is in Miss Deb's class. And I tried to put something on the board. I tried stepping. There was just so much stuff in front of the board that I tried stepping over it, miscalculated, fell absolutely through like several boxes of school supplies, definitely cardboard paper, and in front of everybody. It was perfectly in front of everybody. Everybody laughed. I got up, went back to my desk. I don't believe anybody to this day remembers that. It was so long ago, and even if it wasn't that long ago, I'm the only one that holds that memory. Now, there could have been a situation where maybe I was having an argument, and somebody said something hurtful to me, and I said something hurtful back. And they were like, I can't believe you just said that. And I remember the feeling of how I felt when they said that. Again, you will hold on to this differently and or more than the other person. You cannot forgive yourself until you've forgiven yourself. It can't be coming from the outside. You have to let go of it. What I have written down here is, I cannot expect forgiveness from you until I have forgiven myself. If I hinge my forgiveness upon the 3D, I will never have it. And forgiveness is such a powerful thing. It's about moving forward with your life. It's about clarity. It's about basically ascending in your growth as a human being. So when we get after this idea of forgiveness, if you don't forgive yourself, you hold on to it. Now, no meritocracy here. If you want to hold on to the feeling and the memory, by all means, go ahead. Some people can live with the haunting and they're okay with that. Others is not so much. And I think everybody has kind of a limitation when it comes to having a memory haunt them for the rest of their lives and not having forgiveness for that. And I spoke about this with my parents and dealing with forgiveness with them. And it created some of the most powerful relationships that I've ever known to this day, because I made that move. I made that declaration of, well, I'm going to get clear on this. I'm going to get complete on this. I'm going to get forgiveness on this. And I didn't ask them to forgive me. I just said, I forgive them and I forgive myself. And that's it. Every part that we played in this relationship leading up to now, I forgive it all. And I'm letting it go here. And that's that. So the first step to understanding, and I'm going to put this in terms of you so you can actually hear this for yourself. You cannot expect forgiveness from you you cannot expect forgiveness from anybody else until you have forgiven yourself. If you hinge your forgiveness upon the 3D, you will never have it. You cannot expect forgiveness from anybody else until you've given it to yourself. And this is the same thing with love. This is the same thing with grace. This is the same thing with many things. You cannot expect it from anyone else. You really can't. If they even give it to you, it doesn't matter because you haven't given it to yourself yet. You can have all the adoration in the world, all the attention in the world, but if you don't give it to yourself, it really falls short. You become this emotional sieve. It only lasts for so long. It's a short-term reward with just a short-term reward. The long-term cost is believing that you need more of it. It's very much like a drug. And you cannot have forgiveness or expect it from anybody else until you've given it to yourself. And the first step to that is recognizing that you are worthy of forgiveness. You always are. You've never not been. We come back to Brian Stevenson. You are more than the worst thing that you've ever done. And that's a lawyer that works on death row. You are more than the worst thing you've ever done. And I'm just giving that to you right now. I'm not asking you to fully embrace it, understand it, know it, and roll with it. But I'm asking you to just have that right now. Got this whole water heater and thing in here. I'm in a situation. I'm in a very specific room right now, up north, and this room it's very Ron Burgundy right now. So there's gonna be some sounds in the backdrop. But I want you to understand that first. You are worthy of forgiveness. You already are worthy of forgiveness. So it's like your birthright. Like that, just know that. Have that. It may take some time to know it, but it is what it is right now. So that's the first part of it. The second part is expecting forgiveness from other people is their journey, not yours. If somebody forgives you or not, you may not get forgiveness ever in this lifetime from someone. It only hinges upon if you give it to yourself. Whether somebody can forgive you or not, that is not up to you. That is not within your control. That is not part of your journey. And trying to control that is to seek to manipulate some form of comfort outside of yourself. It's saying that outside of yourself has more power than within. You are giving up your autonomy, your agency for self-love and putting it in the hands of something outside of you. And that will never result in anything healthy whatsoever. So thinking that somebody else forgiving you is going to somehow assist or progress you forgiving yourself or your own forgiveness it's outrageously, to me, in my opinion, it's unhealthy and unhinged because you're not going to forgive yourself because, oh yes, they forgave me. Now I will forgive myself. No. Your forgiveness is up to you. How you recognize that moment and say, you know what, man, you're really doing your best. And that's that. Forgive. Maybe I forgot, but forgive. And that's great. That's the next step towards self-love. That's the next step towards being able to love at a larger capacity, in a more unconditional capacity. That's the next step towards giving yourself grace. That's the next step towards living a life free. Because when we haven't given forgiveness to ourselves, we are shackled to it. We are absolutely bolted and anchored down by those memories and the calcified emotions that come with the memories. So is the third thing. The result of forgiveness is freedom. It is the freedom to be. It is the freedom to understand that you're living a life that is not perfect, that is not going to look like what you perceive perfection to be. Again, progress over perfection. Having forgiveness means freedom. It means giving yourself the freedom. And you have to understand the reward with that, the long-term reward. It doesn't mean that you're going to live a life of no mistakes or anything like that at all, but you're going to live a life that you're learning from and you're progressing and growing from it. So when you truly forgive yourself, and I'm not talking about giving yourself a pass or giving yourself some type of, well, who cares, some type of flippant whatever. That's not it at all. Forgiveness for me is acknowledging what happened, acknowledging your role or how it affected your journey or who you were being in that moment, and then not just moving on from it, but accepting that it happened and then going forward, knowing that that is part of your journey. And it just is. And that is you are okay with yourself going forward. You have forgiven yourself, and you're not going to rely on anybody else giving you forgiveness at that moment. And because we're here, I really, really, really want to get into the actual definition of this. Forgive. To stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. And I really think this is powerful because what we perceive to be a flaw is very, very subjective. What we perceive to be a mistake or an offense. Offense is probably less subjective. A lot of people can look at it and be like, that was pretty offensive. But that being said, when we're able to stop the resentment, stop kind of the bleeding, if I may, with giving our attention and our time and all of our energy to this thing that has happened in the past, and we are a prisoner to it. Once you let go of that, once you forgive that part of you, you get the freedom. And it's active too. I understand that some people, for me, there's two different ways, and I think everybody operates obviously a little bit differently. For me, forgiveness is sometimes I've forgiven the situation, I've forgiven myself, I've forgiven the people that were involved, and what happens is it'll come back as like a memory, and I'll be like, oh. And I'll get like a sense of the feelings that I had from the memory, and I'll be like, oh, but I'm good with that. I'm complete with that. It will revisit you. It just happens. It is what it is. But that's okay. And that's part of being human. And the idea of forgiveness is that you create that landmark in time where you have said, I'm no longer beholden to this. I'm no longer a prisoner of this. I'm accepting this. I understand this. I have clarity on it. Even though there may be no clarity, you can have clarity without clarity. You can say, I can see it now. I can see that I don't see it, and I'm good. I had to do that recently with the situation. I was like, I don't understand why it went down like that. And somebody was like, maybe that's the understanding. That you understand you don't know. And you'll never know why it happened. And I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. Yeah, let's do that. So I want you to really hone in on the fact that forgiveness is it's something that you deserve. You are worthy of forgiveness. 2, somebody else forgiving you is outside of your control. And 3, forgiveness is freedom. It is. It's freedom from the situation. I look back now to when I fell through those papers in Miss Deb's room, and I laugh about it. I don't cringe. Sometimes I cringe at certain things, and I'm working through that. Work in progress. I'm still working with it. But 3, forgiveness is freedom. It truly is. It really is. And I hope that you can take the first steps towards that and really take some time with it. Consider it. Forgiveness is not. It is a simple task, but it is not easy. It is simple in nature, but it is not an easy thing to do. And consider it. I would ask you to consider it. And if you don't go any further than that, so it goes. But I hope that you can at least take a look at it and acknowledge what it might mean to have in your life and the power that it can have being active in your life, and how that would impact relationships, not just with people outside of you, but the relationship with yourself. So give that a thought or two if you'd like to. Thank you so much for tuning in this video. We will see you in the next one.